It is now my pleasure to bring to the stage Connie Williams, co-founder of World Stage Press, author of Distance of Observations, which is in the LAPL collections, by the way, so check it out. And so it's my pleasure to bring Connie to the stage. Thank you.
How are you guys doing today? My name is Connie Williams. As she stated, I am the co-founder of World Stage Press. I'm the former artistic director at the World Stage in historic Leimert Park. How many of you ever been to Leimert Park? All right. How many of you have been to the World Stage? All right. All right. How many of you love spoken word, love poetry? Well, we have some wonderful poets here today. And the first poet to come to the stage is the co-founder of World Stage Press. He's also the executive director over CLI and the Sims Library of Poetry. I'm going to bring him to the stage right now. Everyone put your hands together for Mr. Hiram Sims. He's also a commissioner here at the Los Angeles Library System.
How's everybody doing this afternoon? Good, good, good. First of all, I just want to say it's an incredible honor to be here. Also an incredible honor to serve as the commissioner of the LA Public Library. And also just happy to be a black poet in Los Angeles. I ain't never seen this many black people in this library as I saw today. Inside, outside, everywhere. So it's just a great day. I especially want to, like I saw on the flyer, it said June Jubilee is celebration of black excellence, right? And no group to me is more excellent than the black poets of LA. And so, but I want to shout out two incredibly excellent black women who actually put together this whole day, and that's Miss Janae Brown and Miss Corinne Malone, who's the director of this whole branch. And so just so proud of what they were able to accomplish today. And when I think about Juneteenth and what we celebrate on that day, I think about the ability for black writers to write again. And many of you know that during slavery, it became illegal for slaves to read and write, a crime punishable in some places by death. And the reason why it was such a threat to the institution of slavery is because many slaves traveled from plantation to plantation with written passes from their masters or from some other worker on the plantation. So if a slave could actually write his own pass from plantation to plantation, they could actually write their way out of slavery. And so they understood that, and to me, the prohibition of black writing is one of the greatest crimes to happen during slavery. But I'm very, very happy that after slavery ended, black people could write again without the threat of violence, without the supervision of their masters. Anybody heard of Jupiter Hammond in here? So Jupiter Hammond was the first black man to publish a poem in the United States, 1761. And like World Stage Press actually put out a book of his poetry called First in Line, the poetry of Jupiter Hammond. But one of the reasons Jupiter Hammond is not as celebrated as, let's say, Phyllis Wheatley is because Jupiter Hammond actually never gained his freedom. And so he had to write and perform poetry his whole life under the supervision of his master. And so he gave readings with his master sitting in the front row. So imagine how careful you have to be, the things that you have to be cautious of, because anything you say could mean the end of your life. So when I think about, like Juneteenth, I think about black people being able to write in this country without that oppressive supervision. And so you're going to hear some incredible poets tonight who have a whole bunch of courage. So this poem I wrote, I'm going to read a law, right, from 1830, and then I'll read my poem. An act to prevent all persons from teaching slaves to read or write, the use of figures excepted. Whereas the teaching of slaves to read and write has a tendency to excite dissatisfaction in their minds and to produce insurrection and rebellion, to manifest injury of the citizens of this state. Therefore, be it enacted by the General Assembly of the State of North Carolina, and it is hereby enacted by the authority of the same, that any free person who shall hereafter teach or attempt to teach any slave within the state to read or write, or shall give or sell to such slave or slaves any books or pamphlets, shall be liable to indictment in any court of record in the state having jurisdiction thereof, and upon conviction shall at the discretion of the court, if a white man or woman, be fined not less than $100, no more than $200, or imprisoned. And if a free person of color shall be fined, imprisoned, or whipped at the discretion of the court, not exceeding 39 lashes, nor less than 20 lashes. Be it further enacted that if any slave shall hereafter teach or attempt to teach any other slave to read or write, he or she may be carried before any justice of the peace, and on conviction thereof shall be sentenced to receive 39 lashes on his or her back. This poem is called 1830. They used to kill us for this. Force-fed us death sentences for writing down sentences, pinned down and murdered for the right to write on pen and paper, lined up on a firing wall for these fragments, subject to the pulling of triggers for subject-verb agreement. My grandmothers perished for paragraphs, indented on indentured servitude in this peculiar institution. They used to kill us for this. My grandfathers pronounced dead for hiding pronouns under their pillows. Vocabulary pouring out with the blood. Forbidden ink oozing out of their pores, mutilated for our metaphors, decapitated for their capital letters, killed for the curiosity of quadratic equations, my kinfolk, slaughtered for synonyms, transitioning for transitive verbs, written on the walls of a slave cabin, lynched for their lexicon, knocked off for these noun conjugations, run down for these run-on sentences, my mothers massacred for writing their monikers, just for writing their names. Beautiful brown leaves hanging from the branches of my family tree, terminated for their terminology. We used to die for this, and America's southern graves are filled with students who look like us, walk like us, wanted to learn like us. And when they speak to me at night from their shallow graves in Arkansas, as I contemplate the thought of being furious, they say, do not be angry for me. Read for me, write for me, spell for me, study for me, learn for me, speak for me, read for me, write for me, read for me, write for me, and live. Thank you all. Back to you, Connie.
I know all of y'all would have been disobeying, wouldn't you? You know, the master said, write me a poem and come and read it to me. Y'all would have just said, no, not today. I don't feel like it. Thank you, Hiram. We appreciate that. Who's your favorite black poet?
Marilyn Murphy.
I know her. Who's your favorite black poet? Langston Hughes. All right. I know that guy. The next poet coming to the microphone, everyone put your hands together for Linda LaRose. Thank you.
But thank you so much. Hiram, that was a fantastic poem. I mean, that was fire. That was totally fire. And it's heartbreaking and it's inspiring too at the same time. And so thank you so much. And thank you everybody for being here. And my name is Linda LaRose, and I'm going to read a poem called Soul Train Kids. And it's a poem about school parties way back in the day. You know, just imagine like 1970s. You know, I was a kid back then, and so I'll just let the poem speak for itself. It was June 1975, end of the school year. Summer was one big, long recess for kids. Time to put away the failed math test and break out that Earth, Wind, and Fire and Ohio players. Shove those books and desks aside, because you can bet your last money it was going to be a stone cold gas on the classroom floor. Party time! Woo! Don Cornelius and Shabby Doo had nothing on us fifth graders, that was for damn sure. We could boogie on down. We could boogie on down. We could boogie on down with the best of them. In 1975, old school music was new school in our school. You had to float, float on, float on, float on. It was red hot, red, do, do, do. Just make my funk the P-funk. I wants to get funked up. Do you remember the 21st night of September? As far as us Soul Train kids were concerned, we could forget that month for now. September sounded much better when Maurice White and Philip Bailey sang it. Didn't even want to see or think about those back-to-school clothes at Sears yet. Ooh. We were fueled by the red sugar rush of Strawberry Crush and Hawaiian Punch. And there were all kinds of Salty's chips, Laura Scutters, Lay's, and a big old bag of Cheetos. We may have been late turning in our homework, but we were definitely not on the late freight for this real mother for ya. All of us got of the teacher's single file line and into two Soul Train lines. Nancy did the football, doing a disco touchdown at the end of the line. Swish. Alicia penguined her legs from side to side, turning cool into cold. Stephanie did the feel until she couldn't feel anything. Mark Huntley and Marcellus popping and locking it up. Roger Richards roboting in the room. As for me, I did that kind of dance I saw one of those glittery Soul Train divas did before the show was over, and you heard that song? You know that song. Do 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 do. Let's get it on. It's time to get down. Do 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 do. One arm up, the other arm swaying to a funked up disco beat, and then I twirl and hop, hop, twirl down that line. Didn't know the name of the dance, didn't even know if the dance had a name. So what? It didn't matter. You don't dance to the beat dances you. The beat dances you. The beat dances you. We danced. And we got down with our bad selves until the teacher brought in a big sheet cake that Penny McGee's mom bought for the party. And we waited for that cake like the guest that got the party started. The teacher slowly sat the cake down on the table, and then she opened up the lid. And as she opened it, Penny made a loud groaning noise. Aw, dang! A big old hunk of cake was completely cut out. The letters M-E-R from the word summer, gone. Happy some, the cake read now. And there was only one person I knew who had the guts to do that, the principal of the school. If I were Penny too, I'd be groaning because I could not stand that woman. Clearly, the principal didn't know the principle of the thing. Spinning one 33 after the other, from Commodores to Stevie's Intervisions to Marvin Gaye's I Want You. The Soul Train stayed in our station until it was time for our parents to pick us up after school. And the school partying. You can bet your last money it was a stone cold gas. Peace, love, and soul. Thank you.
I can't dance, so the Soul Train thing. I love it though. But I'm gonna have to get my dance on. All right, Poets of LA, say it loud. The next poet to the microphone. Everyone, put your hands together for P.W.
Hey, how you guys doing? My name is P.W. I am a very recent grad of the illustrious Tuskegee University. Thank you. I feel like it's really important to mention, since this is a celebration of Black excellence in Juneteenth, I just want to shout out some of my founding fathers, Lewis Adams, D. Booker T. Washington, and one of the most amazing writers of all time stemmed from my alma mater, Ralph Ellison. So I just wanted to, introduce you guys to what, I come from my academia stand. Now, with that being said, I took a senior seminar class my last semester, and it was environmental literature. Being a romanticism poet, I like to talk a lot about nature and love and kind of combining the two together. This was really my first time studying Audre Lorde. I fell in love with her piece, The Brown Menace, or the Ode to the Survival of Roaches. So my piece to you today is called A Letter to Address Audre Lorde's The Brown Menace, or Ode to the Survival of Roaches. While growing up with my grandma, she taught me the importance of cleanliness, taught me that bugs and roaches only came into the homes of filthy people, taught me to deep clean the forbidden places like under the sinks and in between the crevices of the wall and the counter, behind the refrigerator, and pick up crumbs if they ever fell. Scrub, sponge, soak, spray, sweep, squeaky clean. This duty would not be so dirty if I did it often. The dust would be better than the bugs that came to follow if I did not upkeep. After I moved to Tuskegee, I saw the largest roach ever in my room. I kept my side of the room clean like I was taught to, and I did everything in order to not see these bugs. Roaches were a sign of poverty, a sign of being less than, a sign of low-income housing. And through my youth, I grew up in the dirtier part of the city. I never dealt with them. Unfortunately for me, they were just bugs in the South. I didn't realize at the time that these were just signs of life happening around me, and I did not invite them in. In fact, I refused to see them as a representation of life and living, of surviving and thriving in their own ways, until I went into that course. In the midst of my fascination with this Audre Lorde piece, I found that I am the roach in society. My mom, my nana, my papa are all roaches, and some of the things I did growing up to make sure that there were no roaches are the same things people in power do to Black people to make sure that we cannot coexist with them, simply because we are who we are. Now, I went into this course thinking I was gonna learn about trees and butterflies and lakes and nature, but I learned about roaches. I learned about society, I learned about perspective, and I learned that unconventional beings are targeted just because they just so happen to look like what they do, stay where they stay, eat what they must in order to survive, survive, survive. Thank you. Also, I do have a book out, worldstagepress.org, titled Fever Memory, if you guys are interested in purchasing a copy. Thank you.
Where that music at?
Diamonds are forever like family and loyalty, or real rap songs like Cream on my melody. Diamonds are forever like my infinite thought, like respect in the hood, they can't be bought.
All right, the poets you're listening to today are all a part of World Stage Press. And the World Stage Press traces its history back to, how many of you know about the riots of 1965? And out of that came the Watts Writers Workshop. And the Watts Writers Workshop included some amazing Los Angeles poets, Ojinki, Kamal Daoud, Eric Priestley, K. Curtis Lau, Wanda Coleman, some amazing writers. And from there, Kamal Daoud started the Anansi Writers Workshop along with Billy Higgins in Leimert Park. And amazing writers were produced out of that workshop as well. Michael Datcher, Pam Ward, Janone Adams, Ruth Foreman, D. Knowledge. D. Knowledge is the only poet ever signed to Quincy Jones' label out of the Anansi Writers Workshop in Leimert Park. And that's where World Stage Press was born, in order to make sure that we, those who have been systemically underserved and our voices silenced, would have a place to go to where your voice could be heard, your voice could be elevated, and you would have the opportunity to tell your own story without it being filtered through your master. Everybody put your hands together for Jasmine Banks.
Hello, everyone. How's it going? I feel very blessed to be in this space today. It's just very soul nurturing and nourishing to be in a space with our community and to be celebrated. And so when we think about the concept of Black excellence, there's really one person who always pops in my head and pops in my heart, and that's my father. He is the epitome to me of Black excellence. I would not be in this space, on this stage, with having my book that came out last October with World Stage Press if it wasn't for him, because he was my first teacher, the first poet in my life, and so it felt only right to share the poem that is about him. So the poem is called He Taught Me How to Fish. Study hard, be diligent, intelligent, and creative. With one hand on the wheel and one hand waving goodbye, he gives me permission to say hello to a new day of learning. Day upon day, year upon year, my dad utters these words, creating a ripple effect, surpassing my surface and expanding my self-worth and pride. Vowels and consonants that he strings together at the base of his tune unite in my eardrum, expanding my self-worth and making me really believe in just how capable I am. My dad, my wise man who delivers words that transcend galaxies. Words he shares with a smile whose radiance competes with the SoCal sun. Mahogany cheeks that rival the yellow star, eclipsing his shine with his melanin glow. He encouraged Nabini Jazzy to stop conforming to fit into the sandbox, whose frame refused to let the specks of my gift come out and play. He yelled cut during my awkward stage so that way my melancholy jazz production couldn't be lifted from couldn't manifest from the printed screenplay. He dipped me into the artistic pools of Langston, Maya, and Jill, leaving Jasmine drenched with the force of our Black wave makers. When jazz silenced herself, he let the pen woo me with its glide, acknowledging my feelings with every droplet of ink. I look upon his kind eyes framed as storybooks to my soul, stare at his eyeglasses and see a heron glaring back at me, an empowered version of myself in his lenses. In a world where this little Black girl can feel lost, unseen, and devalued, he taught me the hell my voice can raise, the heaven my words can form, the echo my imprint can make on this earth for decades to come. I call him my Papa Bear for a reason. He takes pride in raising this cub. He brought me to the river and taught me how to fish, to sink my paws into icy waters, and to discover a meal that I can feast on for years. Thank you. And my book is Attunement, so thank you very much for hearing one of the poems. I have many other poems that speak to the people, the relationships that have allowed me to kind of place a mirror into who I am and the puzzle pieces of what allowed me to be the woman that is before you all. So thank you.
How many of y'all like to fish? Anybody like to fish? I hate fish. They stink, man. I'm serious. I'm from Louisiana, and people have said, well, man, why don't you eat fish? The reason I don't eat fish is because my mom had 11 children, and I was number 6 out of 11. And my older brothers and sisters always were gone at working, and the other ones were too young, so I got to clean all the fish. You clean 30, 40 fish, you good. No more salmon croquettes for me. Put your hands together for Tommy Domino.
Hello, beautiful people. It is such an honor to be in this event. Shout out to the Watts Writers Workshop, because all of us spring from that. I have a book that's here in the library. You can check it out. Switches, Hot Wheel Tracks, and Extension Cords by Tommy Domino. The name of this poem is called Black Men Deserve to Grow Old. I'm raising precious fruit to grow high on the vine, precious fruits reaching towards the sunshine. I'm raising children, V. Kali. Black men deserve to grow old. That is the whole poem. To learn to tame stubborn gray whiskers on their chin. To observe tufts of a thinning hairline. To grapple with a size 38, trying to avoid a size 40. To make dietary modifications with their salts and sugars. To relish the nauseous taste of Miralax before a colonoscopy. Black men deserve to grow old. To adopt phrases like, I ain't one of your little friends. A hard head make a soft behind. And I brought you in this world and I'll take you out. To feel elevating blood pressure when their children are behind the steering wheel. To make trips to the art supply store to help with the science project. To pose for pictures on the front line before homecomings and proms. Black men deserve to grow old. In the words of Mandela, returning to a place that remains unchanged, to find the ways in which you yourself has been altered. To look back and see the grass covered. To feel drowsiness at 10 p.m. To enjoy the quietude of a good novel and chamomile tea. To struggle to focus on a menu without reading glasses. Hear me when I tell you that black men deserve to grow old. Yellow Man says, black man ain't no animal. He deserves the opportunity to cry, and not only at funerals. To outgrow the need to wear a gold chain if he chooses to. To tell another black man, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you. Too many of our future leaders are dying senselessly. The day the police drew that gun on me, someone told me to run, but the ancestors told me to stay. The second choice is the only reason I am reciting this poem here today. My name could have easily been RIP. Hashtag R.I.P. Black men deserve to grow old. That is the whole poem. Black rappers deserve to grow old. Black men deserve to grow old. Deserve to grow old. To grow old. Grow old. Old. Period. Thank you.
I think Tommy been talking to my son. My son thinks I'm old. You know, because I try to give him advice on how to dress. It's the last thing you should ever do is try to tell your teenage son how to dress. I don't know how he's dressing right now. He wears this plaid flannel shirts, and they cut them off to where they're like right here now, and now the pants are really baggy to where it. Put your hands together for Felicia E.
Hello, everyone. I'm so honored to be here with World Stage Press, who is the first person that published my book, Southern Spice, A Brown Girl's Tale. And I'm happy to say that it's here in the library if you'd like to check it out as well. And you can, if you look it up, you can purchase information for it. Or get information to purchase. I have a really, I don't know, I guess it's like an important connection to the June Jubilee because I grew up having celebrations of Juneteenth because I'm from Texas. And Juneteenth, you know, it originated in Texas, specifically the Galveston area, where, you know, slaves were first told that they were free, but they'd been freed long before. So that is, I know that everyone knows that that's why we celebrate, but I have a really strong connection with it because from this age up, I was like in parades in our small town. Not many in the parade, but I just remember waving and freezing because it was cold during this time, and then it would also, you know, kind of be hot, kind of like California. This piece that I'm going to read to you is called I Must Be Naked, and it is in the book as well. I must be stripped to be seen, so that the sanctity of pureness I can reveal my multi-layers of womanness and womanhood of being a Black woman is. And it has packed on and pressed upon within said society, and also what my grandmother and my mother and ancestral predecessors have fought for me and expect of me to be. I must be peeled away, removed like the sturdy yellowed skin that firmly holds a banana within, protecting my insides from being crushed and mashed. When this peeling occurs, I will be seen, showcasing the beauty and the elegance that I behold, crowing as the loudest rooster around and dancing the funky chicken as I flap my flabby arms with no covering and groove full out with robot moves and buzz around carelessly like a clumsy black and gold bumblebee. I will prance and I will pounce any way that I like, ignoring chastisement of the better way that a woman should be in public and doing things right. My grandmother can't say, shh, that's too loud. We can't be too loud. Or my mother say, cross your legs. And elders, keep your dress down and your thighs closed. I won't have to hold it all together, piling layers up on top like balancing for a pageant, walking with books on my head, oh so high. Dress right, don't walk to the right, walk straight, sit poised, head high. Be comfortable, but not too relaxed outside. Must be upright, not too uptight. And close the legs, speak fluently with niceties. Don't say that word. Stop saying I can't. It's cannot or can't. No loud laughing. Only at home with family should you thrash about so. Don't be loose or careless or too free. You can't do that. We can't do that. Hold yourself in now. That's why I need the nakedness, so that I can be the beautiful Black woman that I am, and human, being just me. Thank you.
All right, all right. How many of y'all ever played the dozen? Just don't play it with me. I don't like it. I don't like the dozens. So I don't play the dozens. No, I don't play. You become a really good poet if you learn how to play the dozens well, though. If you know how to come back, you know what I mean? When somebody says something, I wasn't good, so I just go home crying, man. Yeah, that's what made me learn how to write, you know, because I wasn't quick on I wasn't quick with it, you know, to be able to come back really fast and stuff like that. But I'm gonna get better one of these days. Sundiata, put your hands together, everybody, with Sundiata.
Yes, my name is Sundiata. I'm a child of the 60s. I came out of the Watts Writers Workshop in that crucial time. And back then, basically, all we wrote was revolutionary poems. If I came in there with something else, they'd read it and go, what is this about flowers? You know? So now I've learned to write all kinds of different things. And now, they didn't want to hear it at first when a few decades later, and then now they want it. Hey, man, why do you don't do that anymore? I'm like, the changes of life and aging becomes a special thing in your life if you get to be a Black man that old, like Tommy was talking about, Because there's a lot we have to go through, and it's very rarely talked about, so I've tried to be a voice for the voiceless in many different realms. This piece I'm going to do, let me get to it. I've never done this piece before in public, so bear with me. This piece is called Existence. I exist between the road and the rubber, the roaches and the stars, GEDs and PhDs, Frappuccino days, Vino nights, very little sleep and even less money. Between smog and the ozone, between all-nighters and staying at home, with caffeinated days and insomniac nights, with few conversations and strong meditations, I exist. I exist between dial-up and 5G, between nothing affordable and nothing that's free, running on a hamster wheel, munching on an unhappy meal, thankful for days I rose healthy and grateful for nights I returned home safe. Between empty cliches and have a blessed days and knowing loneliness is just a phrase, so I shout thanks and praise. I exist between joy and pain with nothing to gain, between truth and history, reality and perception, revenge and honor, justice and peace, love and hate, religion and spirituality, between laws without morality and thoughts getting crushed by reality. Inspected, dissected, and rejected, yet I never neglected to exist. So I exist between jobs and careers, between needs and fears, between pen and paper, putting my thoughts down before they turn to vapor, between lessons well taught and lessons well learned, between bridges that were crossed and bridges that got burned. Working for free or a survival fee. Working like a slave, trying to save with no compensation, no reparations, between crowds and solitudes depending on my mood, surrounded by Cheshire cat smiles and pit bull frowns, not fooled by one or ashamed of the other, not choosing between a father or a mother even when they split. What was said was not meant, and what was meant was not said, because the love revived was never really dead. I exist while keeping it real in reality, trying to be fair without impartiality. They've misused the term revolution and are part of the problem with no real solution. Not wanting to exist in the middle of the road, becoming roadkill. And still, I exist to unwillingly pay taxes, sit on judgment and juries, and vote, pretend everything is going to work itself out through the power of prayer alone, knowing a bunch of y'all are my clone. With bowed heads in prayer, stuck between anger and despair, raised fists in resistance, I spit truth with consistent, not a saint or a scapegoat, between life or martyrdom, gone too soon, forgotten. So I stand as a man to be counted as a survivor that has survived for much, much, much more than mere existence. If I were a plant, I'd be a weed. surviving every condition because I have the need, stuck between the shadow of greed, between fast-forward miles on pause and bankrupt brains on pause. And even though life ain't no game, I wake up every day, push play, start every day shouting, I exist, I exist, I exist, I exist, I exist, I exist, I exist. Between hot roundaway girls that make it pop, 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 and frozen church girls that say stop, 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 because what's normal for the spider is chaos for the fly. So I continue to exist, and I refuse to die, yet I haven't totally expressed why. I exist between the 13th and 14th Amendment. I exist between the middle of the ground, between light and shadow, between confusion and enlightenment, between sanity and delusion, between death by natural causes and a peaceful existence. Desperately trying to be relevant as a minor component in the big wheel, shouting terms that are rarely heard, dismantling lies that are so absurd, yet told with consistency, because saying nothing just ain't part of me. So speaking for the poor and the weak to reflect on what they seek, developing a consciousness through empowerment, cultivating a place where I can live and resist and not merely. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate that. All right, the next poet coming to the stage is a former member of the, well, not a former, but my co-member of the Anansi Writers Workshop. She's one of the most celebrated poets here in Los Angeles. Everybody put your hands together for Pam Ward.
Down on Washington and Crenshaw. You know, this poem is dedicated to my father, who not only built the Watts Library, but also, when this library burned down, was hired to help redesign it. And all hail to World Stage Press. So, black as a bulletproof vest. I grew up entrenched in all that was beautiful and black, where afros grew tall as buildings and fought back the breeze, living in the 60s with frisbees and hula hoop dreams, spinning around my daddy, trying to analyze his stride, trying to see what lay inside his big size 14s. A walking heart attack, a living monument of hot-blooded love. I hung on to his non-slave tongue, watched his ebb and flow ribs. See, my daddy was no kowtow, no greasy smiling knee dance doing tease. No, my father was more of a crowbar, an architect in a neighborhood where nobody even knew what that was. Had a white boy job when black men didn't mean spit, told us to never be anything less than black, proud black, brown black, snow to crow black. He knew it wasn't about skin tone because black burned within. Each artery and vein screamed, never apologized, never hide, never longed for or lusted after or tried to be less. Our consciences never got pressed. Our pride never got conked. We were barbershop black, magnificent brothers black. On a Saturday snip-snap where afros emerge in perfection black. Watts Festival black. Marching band, booty shaking, daddy saying, oh my God, black. Hot Fudge Sunday black. Sneaking a movie black. Steal a lawnmower, daddy made us bring it back black. High tops running in a pack black. Hide and go seek black, engine number 9 going down Chicago line. If the train should jump the track, all we ever was black. Might have been liquor store black, could have been crackhead black, but we had Rager stat. Get away from that. Didn't I tell you not to touch that black? In your ass black. But we loved him back, because we had Al Green and Aretha in our living room black. Watts Prophets black, Miriam Makeba black, poetry pounding like drum beats, reminding me to stay up, stay strong, and when the shit got rough, we was pushing right back. Black Panther black, fully strapped, beret wearing, leather jack black. We was wildin' then black, talking back black. Don't bring that bullshit or we'll burn it up black. Watts Riots black, Rodney King black. Each kneecap, each step speaks. Florence and Normandy storms, Jefferson and Western rain. 60th and Maine, where Mama moved after Watts, hot scotch all over our tongues. Chicken bobs through our neck. I speak black, keeping slang seeped in my Mississippi and 99th Street pain. Midnight spat, always beautiful black. White folks try to pantomime, can never get it right. Selling Pepsi with our pigmentation as if pig Latin could ever be French. Trying to be spooked so bad, some Halloween their skin. But black burns within. No copycat can ever take what shines deep inside, what beams like a Slauson and Hoover sun, a 103rd Street star, a galaxy of Central Avenue jazz. You could eat 1,000,000 chicken and waffles and never taste the sweet black that's lodged deep in the Brillo pad of your lungs, that dances across your mane, that cha-chas against your heart, that soothes like a satin lining in a world of itchy wool-faced fools. They will never know the slave ships, the ocean bones of our cousins moan, weeping all the way from their deep sardine graves, floating all the way from Nickerson Garden all the way back to the Ivory Coast. But see, my daddy made me know, kept a library in our hallway of who I was. I saw my father sitting in his black chair every night, the one we could never touch, kinky hair illuminated in the bulb, reading, always reading about us. Stokely Carmichael, Kwame Ture, W.E.B. Mommy told me to kiss goodnight, but I'm afraid because he's holding black rage against his chest, ripping through each page, dog-eared from his fingertips. I go in like a drowned kid facing a wave, peck his cheek because I know he's loved, and I begin to read everything Daddy put down, even before the words felt good in my brain, because all I knew was Dick and Jane and popsicle blood on my shoe, learning Daddy like a foreign language, trying to imitate his abstract tongue, trying to understand his rage that could ignite like a riot on a Saturday cartoon June, holding his fist like a knot, not because he didn't love us, because he tried to keep the horror from his house. The cross-burned nights, the billy club moons, the snake pit smile of those that wouldn't give Daddy his due because they thought black skin didn't deserve squat and would have shot him in a midnight minute if they could have got away clean. But he kept building, kept sculpting, kept mason stirring cement. He shaped wood, steel, and dirt into roof, doors, and floors, creating artwork where people birth babies and breathe, making structures, making homes out of slide rules and sludge. But his best work by far was his 4 kids, strong back, bold black. We stand as tall pillars of who he was, all that Watts is, as tall as those towers, as colorful as that art, as luminous as the Watts Library Daddy designed, beautiful as a Mingus riff, bold as a Cortez line, blowing wind in the building blocks of our spine, wearing our black like a helmet or a bulletproof vest to protect us, to keep our sweet essence alive so we can walk in a room and not feel annihilated by fear or shame, because inside you're a fortress, a steel pole and a wall, an architect's daughter with a 12-story heart, raging hot, riding shotgun, ready to wreck shop at a given moment, remembering Molotovs and lynch mobs and streets blazed in fire, because Watts is my father, the birth home of my mom. It's a rhythm, a blazing heat, a rock buried inside your palm, keeping the peat, keeping the blood, keeping the history alive, as beautiful as new asphalt, as black as an eggplant sky, laying foundations, one brick at a time. Thank you very much.
Pass the offering plate. Oh, are we not taking the offering right now? Oh, okay. All right. Thank you, Pam. Thank you. Thank you. Love that poem. Put your hands together, everyone, for Mr. James Coates.
Incredible. You were witnessing Black excellence in the house. When I think about Black excellence, I think about all the building work that's been done from way back in Africa all the way down to today, and how much building the Black community is still doing, and how there is no quit. And so I want to share a poem out of my book, Midnight and Mad Dreams, which is available here in the library. And it's titled, We Built This. When they say go back to Africa if you don't like it here, tell them go back to Europe if you don't like our faces. You should have never stolen us from our home in the first place. Now this place is in our bones. We are indigenous to this soil. Our blood soaked in this ground made this place bountiful. So no, I won't be going back home. I am home. We built this country, so this land is my land more than it's ever been yours. Fought for through multiple wars, bled and died for. So when I say we built this, I mean it, all of this. From the day we arrived all the way down to the day we've been building, and we will keep building until our children's children's children get what we are owed for the debt you have never paid. You hate when I point out the facts. Rather, we forget the past, erase the black out of our history and your books and our skin, but black history is American history, and it didn't start with slavery. Though we did build this country on our backs, with the sweat of our brow and labor of our hands, if you don't believe me, let's talk a little history. Back in Africa, we were doing fine, building pyramids, foundations for writing, mathematics, science, and engineering. Europeans came to get knowledge on everything from philosophy to surgery. Then in 1619, colonists knew that they would never make it on their own, so they stole doctors, scientists, elders from their home, shipped them to America to do the building work they didn't want to do. And if you look it up, you'll see it's all true. We built this economy. Half of this nation's GDP came from the farming we were made to do from free. The growth of the South Power came from sun-up to sundown slavery hours, growing tobacco, rice, and indigo, but cotton is what really got things popping. We built the plantation homes, managed them, cooked and cleaned, nursed and weaned your children. And it wasn't just the South. We built the North too. The roads, the docks, the shipyards, most of New York and Wall Street, plus the White House, just to name a few, only to get kicked out of our own place. We called it Seneca Village. Y'all renamed it Central Park. The Great Migration pushed us out west. We built those rail lines, miles at a time, the four major, built with black labor. We got so good at building, we sat down to build our own community. We called it Black Wall Street in Tulsa. Jealous of our movie theaters and plumbing, you killed us and burned it down. Rained bombs from the sky, just one of this country's mass genocide, all because our building damaged your pride. But our building did not stop. In us, there is no quit, not one bit. So here's a list of some of the stuff you would not have without us. Automatic gear shift, elevator doors, blood banks, America's first clock, clothes dryers, ironing boards, dustpans and mops, blimps, electric lamps, gas masks and furnace, thermostats, lawn sprinklers, mowers, potato chips, golf tees, suspenders, microphones, the cell phones, mailbox, wrench and modern locks, home security systems, toilets, traffic lights, plus many, many more items we did help invent but didn't get credit for. Fast forward to modern times, we're still building. Culture and trends, we created jazz, blues, soul, and pop. We invented hip hop, rap, and rock, and guess what? They've all been co-opted. So next time we say we built this, and you want to try and dispute it, these are straight facts, and I got the receipts to prove it. Thank you.
They don't have my mama's sweet potato pie. She had that recipe, boy. Ain't nobody. Thank you all for coming out today. I am the last poet of the day. I'm gonna do a little something and get out your way. Too much black life has been defined by Jamestown. And Serena Williams, she US Open. Cat suit and dog season, Lycra lean, girl got back. Back like pre-American history, like those white country clubs where she practices dissimulation, pouncing on unsuspecting debutantes, dispatching them like private tennis lessons. Now, she don't fit in, but she got access and assets. See, ass kickings reside in her forehand. They envy her game, that chiseled onyx frame. See, jealousy has many aliases, like them television images that feign acceptance, even at a Grand Slam tennis tournament. And Serena Williams, she ghetto fab. a tall drink of Compton cocoa, and blonde too. But she ain't no Heather, no Anna Kournikova. She done already won this game. Ain't waiting no return from Vogue or Cosmopolitan to emaciate her self-esteem with a European model of beauty called Serena. She thick. Serena thick like sister's supposed to be, with thick hips and thick thighs and thick hips and thick eyes and mostly a thick attitude, and I like it. Think she didn't realize acceptance only got to be on your terms. Racism is like Lycra if you wear it long enough, stretching to choke any references African, to flow the way the Niger runs. See, natural hair and shapes are held in contempt, lacks loveliness unless it's given masses approval. And even some of us buy into that, like Michael Jackson and permanence, like Dr. Phil hypothesizing, incapable of realizing that white men fantasize about sisters with question marks attached at the base of their backs. They just don't want the white psychologists to include it in their research. Recognize that service has been broken. Recognize that service has been broken. Beauty is not London, Barbie, or New York fashion. It isn't network depictions, on-screen depictions and castrations, or the limitations of black men in love scenes. Recognize that seasons change to fall. One size does not fit all. Big boned it is a turn on. The full lips sucking my tongue, the honey, the sugar. Because in the beginning, God took the dust and he created, and she still exists, and she is my desire. And I like it. And I like it. Thank you guys for coming out.